Well, welcome to this short little video on cooking inside or on a wood stove with cast iron cookware. Just going to be a short little kind of introduction video on how I configure some of the equipment I'm using, basically cast iron, and how I get it to work for me in a wood stove. So let's just get on with it. You watch this little clip here, and I'm going to prep the little table with my Dutch oven, and we'll meet you back here in about a minute. Okay, this is my very well used 9-inch Lodge Dutch oven. I've been using it for years and years and years. I cleaned it up a little bit for the video, but not a ton because I use it quite a bit. Most of you guys are familiar with Dutch ovens. Hold on, I gotta scratch my eyeball. But cooking inside a wood stove is something I've been doing for a long time, and I'd like to explain to you how I do that. Here we have your basic Dutch oven. Inside the Dutch oven I have this little kind of a pie pan kind of thingy, which I just rinsed out quick because I just cooked lunch in it. You take that out, and here we have, this is the secret weapon right here. This is a spacer that I use to keep the pan off the bottom when I'm say baking biscuits or bread, something like that. What this is, if you don't recognize it, this is a grill off of, back in Minnesota we call them sunflower heaters, but those little heaters that you attached to the top of a 20-pound propane cylinder, that's what that is. And the reason I'm using that is because the valve mechanism on the heater gave out, and they're not worth repairing, so I took the thermocouple and a couple other things off it that I could salvage, and this was one, and I just kept it in a tote. And I realized one day as I was, starting out this type of lifestyle, that don't know what I was thinking, that this would be a good spacer to put in here. Now, why would you need a spacer? Well, the thing is when you're cooking in a Dutch oven, you're generally cooking within contact to the heat source itself. Either the wood stove, the top of the wood stove, or right next to the fire, which causes hot spots. And it's very, very common. If you were to just throw this in the wood stove or on top of the wood stove, with a bunch of biscuits inside there, they're going to burn on the bottom. I guarantee it, they're going to burn on the bottom. So what you need to do is you need to remove that and give it some airspace there so that it can kind of cook using convection heating. So that's how I do that. And when I cook things like, even a steak or some salmon or something, I put that in the pan itself. Now I have a way to make pizza in this as well, which we'll get into in another video. But if you're going to be cooking in a Dutch oven, either next to a fire, this way there's going to be a hot spot here, so you want to kind of give it some room. Inside the wood stove is the same thing. On top, obviously, the heat's going to be coming from the bottom, so you want to keep an airspace in between your actual cooking vessel and the Dutch oven itself. That'll keep you from burning anything. Another good thing to do is if you're cooking inside the wood stove, because it's a visual way of cooking, because you can't really regulate your heat, at least like you do in an oven. It's a good idea to check the biscuits or the bread or whatever, or the cornbread every little bit, every 10-15 minutes. Take the Dutch oven and turn it at least 90 degrees. I generally go the full 180. That will keep anything from the side from potentially burning as well. That's just the way I do it. If I'm going to be cooking something like, soups and stews, obviously, then you don't have to worry about it. If there's liquid in the bottom, you're not going to have to worry about it burning anything as long as you keep your liquid from cooking out, because it will. And once you burn your food in a Dutch oven, it's pretty well scorched. So that's the basics on how I cook in a Dutch oven, in or on the wood stove. What you need is just a little spacer. And this can be anything. It doesn't have to be this. You know, a couple of really small, shallow tin cans, like tuna cans, obviously, you know, emptied out and cleaned, on the bottom would serve the same purpose. You just kind of want to get that convection thing going. Pizza, that's another story. We'll get into that because I'm going to make a pizza next weekend. But that's the way I do it when I'm cooking biscuits or anything. Baking biscuits, I guess technically. Keep a spacer on the bottom. Put your pan inside. Put your lid on. Good idea also to preheat your Dutch oven first. Save some time. You will make biscuits incredibly fast in a Dutch oven inside the wood stove. Just so you know. So there you have it. Let's close up this video. So there you have it. That's hint and or tip number 1 of getting started with cooking in a Dutch oven inside or on top of a wood stove. It'll save you from burning your biscuits for sure. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make a whole series of these, just really short little videos, just a few minutes long. I will be making some things here in the near future just to show you how easy it is. There's very little you cannot cook inside of a wood stove, including rice. An actual bowl of rice. It will come out perfect every time, unless you forget what you're doing and go off doing something else and you realize that you've been outside for an hour and a half and you've got some really crispy rice in the wood stove. But as long as you pay attention to what's going on, you won't have any problems. Actually, let's make this 2 tips, because I did mention it before, is that cooking inside of a wood stove, and some of my other videos also mention it, it's very, very visual. You can't really control your heat. You can make it the fire smaller or larger, but you really don't know how much heat it's putting out. So what you have to do is you have to continually check the food to make sure you're not cooking all the water out of it, because it will build up enough heat to steam out the water, and crispy food is, well, not good food if you ask me. So there you have two hints and tips. Keep your food off the bottom of the pan if you're baking, and then if you're using the Dutch oven for some sort of a soup or a stew or something like that, make sure you don't cook the water out of it. So there you have it. It's not rocket science. In fact, you don't even have to use a Dutch oven to do this type of cooking. I know a guy who was complaining, this was years ago now, that the bottom of his biscuits would burn and the bottom of his muffins and stuff, and he said that the food was good, it's just that the 1/4 inch of the bottom was just so black and charred you couldn't eat it. So I said, well, gave him my hint and tip for doing this. What he did was actually very ingenious. What he did is he found, you know, the old metal toolbox, you know, that had the tray in it. That became his baking oven. He would set that on top of the wood stove. He would set his biscuits and stuff inside the tray, which kept it off the bottom of the toolbox. He never had a problem with it after that. So it's just a matter of thinking outside the box a little bit and just saying, okay, how can I keep my food from coming into direct contact, I guess, with the side of the vessel. Anyway, that's it. I know you're underwhelmed as heck, but that's all I got. I'll be making a dish here in the next few days, which I will invite you along on. But until then, you're just going to have to wait with bated breath. Hope you found this short little video entertaining and informative, and we will see you on the next one.